face, hair solos for a while.
What's up, guys? My name's Colin Bell. Find me on Twitter, find me on Instagram, find me on YouTube, KCR Belsky. Today, we're going to talk about Week 2. Week 2's over now. I did my picks. My picks were not very good, and we'll get into that. Before we get started with the Week 2 review, let's talk about some top stories in the NFL going on right now. Obviously, the top story of Week 2 was the Bills cornerback Vontae Davis retiring at halftime of the game. I'm not talking about he decided he couldn't do it, he got hurt or something, stayed and watched the team. No, he retired. He left, he dressed out, he got in his car, and he left the stadium. He did not even stay to watch the rest of the game. Obviously, this angered a lot of Bills teammates, a lot of Bills coaches, and if you go look at the post-game comments, you can definitely see that. One guy said, I'm not going to comment on it. That would be more respect than what he gave to us on the field today, and he's absolutely right. You just can't do that, man. I get it. He ended up releasing a statement later that day saying, my body can't take this anymore. I've gone through countless of injuries. I began to question, is it all worth it? Okay, I get that. But, you dressed out that day knowing you were going to go out there and play 60 minutes of football. And if you don't get hurt, you're just going to quit after halftime. I know the Bills aren't good, but whenever you sign with the Bills, you should understand that. You should know what you're getting into. So whether you're frustrated, whatever it is, you can't do that in the middle of the game. Just do it during the week. I get it. If you're done, if you don't want to play anymore, fine. Don't do it at halftime, man. Next story, got some trouble out of Steelers camp. Antonio Brown is the latest disgruntled Pittsburgh Steeler. Obviously, we know about the Le'Veon Bell situation, but Antonio Brown, a little bit of an altercation with a coach on the sideline after the game, or at the end of the game against the Chiefs Sunday. He was absent from the facilities Tuesday, and also somebody tweeted out about how Antonio Brown is lucky he got drafted by Pittsburgh, basically that Big Ben is the guy who got Antonio Brown paid all this stuff, and says at the end that Antonio Brown basically would not put up those numbers if he played for anybody else. When Antonio Brown sees this, and he quote tweets it with the comment, "Trade me, let's find out." Obviously, those two things combined, a lot of concern in Pittsburgh. Antonio Brown did show up today. Today is Wednesday. Big Ben was asked about it after practice, and he said, I completely defend Antonio Brown. He is the best player in the world as far as receivers go, and I agree he's the best receiver in the NFL. He calls him a very passionate football player, which he is. I understand the frustration. Obviously, the agent also said it's a non-story, so who knows? I'm sure there was a reason that he was gone. I'm sure there wasn't. He just didn't decide not to come in. He didn't decide to retire at halftime or some shit, but I don't know. Steelers are 0-1-1 and a little bit of concern growing in Pittsburgh. I'm all for it. I'm ready for the new Kansas City Chiefs as the contenders, as the favorites in the AFC. In Tampa Bay, home of the only quarterback better than Patrick Mahomes so far this year, Deshaun Jackson endorses Ryan Fitzpatrick to be their long-term starter, saying, how could you take him out when he's playing like this? You were absolutely right. Fitzpatrick has over 800 yards. He's got 8 touchdowns already. The Buccaneers are 2-0. They're looking way better than any of them expected to. You got to keep Fitzpatrick in there as long as possible. I don't care about Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston hasn't even played that well. He's obviously got a lot of character issues dating all the way back to Florida State. Leave Fitzpatrick in there. Look at the dude. He dressed like Conor McGregor. He stole Deshaun Jackson stuff. I don't know. He's the most popular player in the NFL right now. So let him enjoy it and ride that wave. In Houston, Deshaun Watson's not concerned about the racist comments put up by an East Texas superintendent on Facebook. After the team's loss to Tennessee, he commented about how you can't count on a black quarterback when it comes to making precision decisions, is what the quote was. Obviously, first of all, it's not true. Second of all, what are you thinking? Even if this was something that was supposed to be private, you're an idiot, and that's a stupid opinion, and I hope he gets fired for it, to be honest, especially the fact that it was put up publicly. Get out of here, man. You should be lucky you've got a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, and instead you're going to talk some shit about him like that because of his skin color. Deshaun Watson, whether he's been good or not this year, is better than probably 20 of the quarterbacks in the league, and he's got potential to be better than about 28, 29 of them. So you should be very happy that you've got him, and you should lose your job, man. All right, Week 2, my picks. They were not very good, not including Thursday Night Football, which we already talked about. I went 7-7-1, and to be honest, that feels a lot better than it felt on Sunday when I was watching the games. I felt like every game was wrong for me. So one of the first games I got right, the first game I'm always going to talk about, my Kansas City Chiefs beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 42-37. Patrick Mahomes is now the back-to-back AFC Offensive Player of the Week, and he 100% deserved it this time. He went 23 for 28, 326 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. 10 touchdowns is an NFL record for most touchdowns in the first 3 games of a player's career. A little side note on that, Patrick Mahomes threw 0 touchdowns in his first start against the Denver Broncos. 10 touchdowns is a record in the NFL for most touchdowns in a team's first 2 games of the season. That beat Peyton Manning, and it beat one other guy who I don't remember, but it beat Peyton Manning, and that's what matters. Patrick Mahomes is looking like the real deal. I know it's 3 starts, I get it, but like I heard on ESPN earlier today, I mean, it doesn't take a huge sample size to know it when you see it, and so many people see it, and I see it, and I'm very excited for it. Patrick Mahomes is a star. Big Ben had himself a day 2 against this Chiefs defense. He went 39 for 60, 426 yards, 3 touchdowns. Obviously, he was playing from behind a lot. They were down 21-0 after the first quarter. They came back and tied it before halftime, which, as a Chiefs fan, we're going to have to get used to games like this year. That's all I'm saying. But as long as we're winning, we're 2-0, baby. I don't care if we win 50-48 every game. Just win. Just win. To be completely honest, you've got to look at Kansas City as Super Bowl contenders, and the Kansas City Chiefs have got to look as the Super Bowl as their goal this year after this. I don't care how bad the defense is. Whenever you've got an offense, whenever you've got a quarterback playing like this, it's Super Bowl or bust. And Patrick Mahomes has shown so far, I know it's 2 games, but he has shown so far that he single-handedly raised the expectations of this team. Speaking of the defense, I know it's not been good, but Eric Berry should be back this week. He's been rumored to practice this week. I hope he practices. I hope he gets out there soon, but Eric Berry is going to help this defense a lot. Even if he's not 100% when he gets out there, his leadership, his ability, his emotional leadership is going to help that defense tremendously. He's great against the run. Obviously, he's great against the pass. He's one of the best safeties in the NFL whenever he's out there. I just hope he's good. I hope he's ready to go soon because he is going to make a difference on the defense, which has already got us to 2-0. Say what you want about how the defense looks, about how many yards and how many points they've given up. We're 2-0. Well, I started with a tie last week. I'm going to have to start with a tie again this week. First time, I think, since the merger that there's been 2 ties in the first 2 weeks of the season in the NFL. Green Bay 29, Minnesota 29. The Vikings missed multiple field goals down the stretch. They missed 2 field goals in overtime, and they cut their kicker Daniel Carlson and signed Dan Bailey. Vikings, of all the kickers, or all the teams with the kicker issues this week, definitely won. Dan Bailey is a proven kicker. He's really good, and I hope that he doesn't cost him any more games down the line. Kirk Cousins makes Minnesota legit, man. Cousins went 425 yards, 4 touchdowns. 3 of those touchdowns were in the fourth quarter. The Packers led this one going into the fourth quarter 20-7, and the Vikings tied it up before the overtime to send it to overtime. So Cousins makes them legit, man. I know Keenum had a great year last year, but Cousins just is a guy who seems more like an NFL quarterback, I don't know what it is about Keenum. Keenum struggled with the Texans in the first part of his career. He really didn't have a good year until last year. I don't know. Keenum's worked out with the Broncos so far, obviously. They're 2-0, but Kirk Cousins, I'm more nervous about the Vikings. I think they're right up there with the Rams as far as Super Bowl contenders with Cousins. When I was watching ESPN, some reviews of games this week, and somebody on there said it best. The Packers are just a bad team with a great quarterback, and I really think that's it. Obviously, they proved it last year. Whenever Rodgers got hurt, they did absolutely nothing. And just Rodgers puts this team on his back all the time. Fortunately, Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL. As far as stats, as far as physical-wise, I know Tom Brady, I don't want to get into it. Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL, and that's what makes the Packers contenders every year. But Green Bay's a bad team with Aaron Rodgers. Now, he made the difference. Obviously, if Rodgers didn't play and DeShone Kizer's in there, this game's not even close, and Minnesota runs away with it. So he kept him in it, and they honestly probably should have won. Clay Matthews was penalized late in the fourth quarter for a roughing the passer call, which was awful, man, just terrible. I know he got one last week. It really was a roughing the passer call. This one was awful. I mean, if you go back and watch the replay, he's already making contact with Cousins before the ball's out. Where are you supposed to go? He didn't hit him high. He didn't hit him low. He hit him right in the middle, and he landed on him. Where I don't understand. How are you supposed to, in the air, diving at a quarterback, change? I don't get it. And the worst part of all of this is that the NFL is going to be using this as teaching tape now they're going to use it as teaching tape to show refs what to call. that apparently is exactly what they're trying to call, and I just don't understand it. They're ruining the league, man. I get you want to keep your quarterback safe. Don't let him hit him high. Don't let him hit him low. But they're going to land on quarterbacks. I'm sorry. Broken collarbones are going to be a thing. I know we've had the issues with Aaron Rodgers, with Tony Romo, with all these guys that have broken their collarbones because they're getting landed on. I don't know what you want, man. It's football. People are going to get hurt. Just let them play the game. So a tie really doesn't count either way towards my picks, but here's the first one I was wrong on. The Dolphins beat the Jets 20-12 on Sunday, and shout out to former Chief Albert Wilson. He had 3 receptions, 37 yards, and a touchdown. Ryan Tannehill went 17 for 23 for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dolphins look legit with They look legit with Tannehill back there. Obviously, I've talked about this in every podcast so far. Cutler was garbage. Dolphins could definitely contend for a wild card spot in the AFC, I think. Sam Darnold, 25 for 41, 334 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He still looked all right. I mean, obviously 2 interceptions you can't have. You want more touchdowns. Jets are still improving, though. I think that let them grow with Sam Darnold. They can be a good team next year. They're not going to do a whole lot this year, though. Another game I picked wrong here, but I think a lot of people picked this one wrong, is Buccaneers 27, Philadelphia 21. Ryan Fitzpatrick, man, what the hell happened to this guy? He had a couple good games, a couple good seasons, maybe back in Buffalo years ago, but he just came out of nowhere again to take the NFL by storm. He's clearly been the best quarterback in the league through 2 games, and he's got this team to 2-0. Like I said earlier, they're looking a lot better than anybody thought they would. Eagles fans, they're just fine. Obviously, it was a loss. Nick Foles struggled, but Carson Wentz cleared to play. He's back this week. We'll have to see how productive, how effective he can be early, but I think his leadership on the field, I think the teammates being pumped up to have him back will be enough for Philly until he's 100% and feeling comfortable running around out there again. The Saints beat the Browns at home 21-18 over the weekend, and that was another game that I got right. The Browns are competitive this year, man. They've been in both games. They arguably should have won both games. Unfortunately, they didn't. They're 0-1-1. It's just a team that hasn't figured out how to win yet. You know, once you get your players in there, you have to figure out how to win, no matter how much talent you've got. And I think the Browns have kind of figured out a way to lose these first 2 games, but I think by the end of the season, they're going to be figuring out ways to win, and I think next year they can be very, very competitive. Watch for the Browns to just grow this year, to grow as a team, and they'll get some wins down the stretch. The Browns also had some major kicking issues. As I said, Zane Gonzalez was a big reason why the Browns lost the game. They cut him after this game, and they signed new kicker Greg Joseph. The Saints defense looked much better in week 2 than they did in week 1 against the Buccaneers, but their offense struggled. So the Saints are a team I think can definitely win their division. They can definitely win a game in the playoffs, but they just got to put it both together. 2 weeks into the season, I'm not too worried about them yet, but they are 1-1. Another game that I was wrong about, this one's actually kind of comical because I picked the Panthers to beat the Falcons, and I picked Cam Newton to make the difference on the ground with 75 rushing yards. Well, the Falcons beat the Panthers 31-24, and Matt Ryan was the one that made the difference with his legs, scoring 2 rushing touchdowns for the first time in his career. Can't win them all, man. I obviously lost just as many of them as I won this week. These were not good picks, but we'll make it better next week. DeMonte KZ was ejected in the game for his hit on Cam Newton. It was just a nasty hit. It was a dirty hit. It caused a fight right afterwards. Cam Newton got up looking a little woozy, but he passed concussion protocol. He got back in there and kept the game close, but yeah, he was done. Falcons are 1-1 now. They're 1 play from 2-0, and they're another team, especially in that NFC South, that's going to compete with the Saints. They could step back into Super Bowl contention after a little bit of a step back last year. NFC is stacked, though, so they've got a lot of tough teams to get through to get there. Another game that I got right, that everybody should have got right, the Chargers beat the Bills 31-20. This game was dominated by the Chargers. A little fire in the Bills possibly after the Vontae Davis fiasco. They made a little bit of a comeback at the end, but San Diego was up the whole game. Phillip Rivers went 23 for 27, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. One of many, many extremely efficient quarterback lines over this weekend. Josh Allen went 18 for 33, 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He also had 8 carries for 32 yards. So, you know, it's better than they would have got with Peterman. Literally anything, they could have put their punter out there. It would have been better what they would have got with Peterman. So be happy about it. Josh Allen looks decent. He's at least going to be something to watch in all these losses for the Bills this year. Something to watch and watch him maybe progress and hopefully get better. So if the Bills can go out and improve their team this offseason, they can get to a point where they can compete. The Titans upset the Texans 20-17. Blaine Gabbert threw a touchdown in Mariota's absence. Mariota did not play at all in this game. The Titans were also helped out hugely by a fake punt touchdown over 60 yards. It was like a fake short to the running back or to the up back. Looked like he was going to, one of those fake runs, but he ends up throwing it to one of the gunners, and he's just wide open, runs it in for a touchdown. And honestly, when I was looking at the stats back on this game, it's unbelievable that Houston didn't win. Deshaun Watson went 22 for 32, 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Houston outgained the Titans by 154 yards total, and they just couldn't pull it out. I still think Houston is honestly the best team in the AFC South, but they've got an uphill climb now to win the division at 0-2. The Colts beat the Redskins 21-9 to improve to 1-1 on the year. Adrian Peterson, bad. After I gave him all that praise last week, I honestly he didn't do good. I didn't even put his stats on my notes. He did so bad. Alex Smith didn't have a very good game either. He had quite a few yards, no touchdowns, no picks though. As a quarterback in the NFL, especially if you're getting that kind of production out of your running backs, if you want to win games, you got to throw touchdowns. You got to put the team in the end zone. We know all about that. I think that's a big part of the reason why Alex Smith is no longer in Kansas City. That and Patrick Mahomes, you couldn't wait another year. You had to get him on the field. Andrew Luck, 21 for 31, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Didn't necessarily look best, but a win is a win, and that's the thing with Andrew Luck. I don't think he's worried about the stats. I don't think his stats have ever looked really great, but his thing is that he wins games. And the Colts are now 1-1, and they're better off than the Texans, and I guess they're looking up at the Jaguars, so. Oof. As for the Redskins, though, I don't think they're going to be anything good this year. The thing with Alex Smith is that he needs pieces around him. He needs a good running game. He needs weapons at receivers, and Washington really doesn't have that. I just don't know how productive, how good he's going to be for them this year. So chalk Colts Redskins up to a game I got wrong. Another one I got right, but a really easy pick was the Rams stomping the Cardinals 34-0. The Rams look just as good as I thought, and the Cardinals look worse than I gave them credit for. The Rams defense looks scary. I know it's the Cardinals, but a shutout is a shutout. Talib and Marcus Peters on that defense, along with Aaron Donald, along with just all the guys that they've got, they're going to be amazing. Jared Goff, 24 for 32, 354 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Todd Gurley, not a whole lot of yards, but he had 3 touchdowns on the game. They're my Super Bowl pick. They will stay my Super Bowl pick, and I tell you what, as a Chiefs fan, I cannot wait for this Rams-Chiefs game in Mexico City. Every week, it just looks like it's going to be that much more exciting. You've obviously got the Marcus Peters storyline. Oh my God, I know you shouldn't look ahead, and we got a game against San Francisco, the home opener this week, but I'm ready to get to that Mexico City game, baby. Now, I picked this game right, but it was a hell of a lot closer than I thought it would be. The 49ers beat the Lions 30-27. San Francisco led 30-13. Detroit did come back, but a late Garoppolo interception fortunately was erased by a penalty, or else the Lions could have had a chance to win it at the end. Detroit looked a lot better than they did in week 1. Obviously, they couldn't really look worse. Garoppolo went 18 for 26, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I know I gave him shit last week, but he really will be good, and the 49ers will be a good team. They're still growing. They're still getting used to it. They're a very young team. And the NFC stacked. So, the 49ers probably aren't a playoff team, but Garoppolo, let him get a full season under him to grow, and we'll see what the 49ers can do moving forward. In an AFC West matchup, the Broncos edged the Raiders 20-19. Oakland led 12-0 at the half. Oakland led 19-10 after 3, and they pissed it away. How is that John Gruden working out for you? You're 0-2. You've lost your best player. I guess they did sign Martavius Bryant back. I don't know if he played. I'll have to check that out. We'll see what the situation there is, but he still is possibly facing, what the rumors have, he's facing a year-long drug suspension again. Phillip Lindsay for the Broncos, 14 carries, 107 yards. Denver may have found themselves a new running back. Hopefully that helps out Case Keenum, take a little pressure off him at least. The Broncos are 2-0, but I don't think they're the real deal. Yeah, they're right there, same record as the Chiefs, but it's going to be a situation, I think, like 2013. Remember when the Chiefs started like 9-0, the Broncos were 8-1. They were going into that huge Sunday night matchup. Chiefs weren't the real deal that year. They were coming off 2-14. Andy Reid was just a good coach. He was still trying to get his players in there. That's the deal with the Broncos. They're 2-0, but they're not the real deal. They'll fade, and the Chiefs are going to win this division. Well, I was wrong about this one because I just gave up on picking against Tom Brady and the Patriots a long time ago. But the Jaguars got the win, 31-20, in the rematch, in the grudge match from the AFC Championship game last year. Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles put the Jacksonville Jaguars on his back. He went 29 for 45, 377 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. No Leonard Fournette. Yeldon only gets you 58 yards. Bortles put the team on his back. 3 of those touchdowns in the first half for Jacksonville, but they get the dub against the Patriots, 31-20. And I'm going to say it right here first. The Jaguars and the Chiefs are the new Patriots and Steelers. I'm telling you right now. The Chiefs are going to be the Patriots because the Chiefs are going to win all the Super Bowls. But it's a new era in the AFC. The Patriots obviously will still be there this year. They'll still be there as long as they've got Tom Brady. But I think as far as the regular season, as far as the teams to beat going forward for the next handful of years, it's the Jags and the Chiefs. In the obligatory NFC East Sunday night matchup, the Cowboys beat the Giants 20-13. This game was boring, man. I watched it, most of it at work as I was closing everything up. This game sucked. The Giants' offensive line is so bad. Eli Manning's not good either. Even if he did have a good offensive line, I don't think he just doesn't have it anymore. I think Eli Manning, I don't know. It's so hard to explain how he won those 2 Super Bowls because he's got so many more lowlights than he does highlights. Is Eli Manning going to make the Hall of Fame? I think he has to, right? He's got 2 Super Bowls, but I don't know. When you look at his stats, when you look at just moments, if you just, a lot of guys like a Joe Montana, like a Peyton Manning, you can just pick any game throughout their career. It could be like a Week 7 game in their 7th season, and you're just going to see moments that show that they're a Hall of Famer. Things that you see from them that you don't see from anybody else. If you pick a Eli Manning game from Week 7 from his 7th season, just a random regular season game, you know what you're going to see? You're going to see Eli Manning throw for 3 picks. You're going to see him cock back and lose the ball as he's throwing the ball. You're going to see like his goofy faces and his angry faces on the sideline. He just doesn't have any of the makings of a Super Bowl quarterback or of a Hall of Fame quarterback other than 2 Super Bowls over the Patriots. Ezekiel Elliott bounced back. He had 17 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown after a pretty light Week 1, at least as far as my fantasy team goes. Thank you for stepping it up this week. I still don't see the Cowboys doing a whole lot in the stacked NFC, but the Giants are just bad, so they get their win. They go to 1-1. And in the Monday Night Football game, I called the Bears. I got the Bears. Bears beat the Seahawks 24-17. Speaking of bad offensive lines, Jesus H. Christ, Seattle. Y'all are going to get Russell Wilson killed out there. Russell Wilson was sacked 6 times again. He's the first quarterback since 2014 to get sacked at least 11 times in his first 2 games. He literally, like I said in my last podcast, if you watch the game, it proved it. He has got to put the team on his back. He's got to do everything for that team to win games. The Bears offense did not look good either. Fortunately, that kept Seattle in the game, but a pick 6 on Russell Wilson ended it. I know the Seahawks scored a late touchdown to put it back to a 7-point game, but Bears take the lead 24-10 late in the 4th on that pick 6 by Prince Amukamara, and that's it. That's the game right there. Patrick Mahomes, obviously this is the Patrick Mahomes fanboy show. He's got more touchdowns in his first 3 starts than Trubisky now has in his 14 career starts. The Bears, I think they're going to really regret taking Trubisky. The Bears had every quarterback in the league available whenever they picked. They had Deshaun Watson. They had Patrick Mahomes. The Bears missed on 2 really good quarterbacks, I think. And Trubisky's not, I don't know. I think his ceiling is a Chad Pennington, he's not going to be an NFL quarterback. Not an NFL quarterback you want when you draft him at number 3. So that was week 2 right there. Obviously, my pick's not too good. I went about 500. The tide really doesn't count, but I picked the Packers, so I would count it more towards the loss in the win column. Thursday night football game this week is the Browns and the Jets, and I think I'm more interested in this one than a lot of people are. You see Browns and you see Jets, and you're like, yeah, another shitty Thursday night game, but I like the Browns to win this one. I think Tyrod Taylor is going to have a better game. He had a hell of a lot better game in week 2 than he did in week 1. Darnold, I think, will have a good game too, but I think the Jets are still not a very good team. They ended up winning 5 games last year whenever they were picked to go 0-16. There was legitimate talk about the Jets going 0-16 before the season last year. I don't know. Darnold's good, but I think the Browns, they're competitive. They're a better team overall, roster-wise, in my opinion, than the Jets. Give me the Browns in their first win on Thursday Night Football. And that'll do it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. After Thursday Night Football on Friday, I'll be putting out my picks. Got some really exciting stuff coming on later today as well. I think I'm going to get a guest in here for the first time. We're going to talk a little more NFL. We're going to talk some baseball, just really give each other shit about our fantasy teams too. So thank you for watching so much. Give this video a like and a share. If you don't subscribe to my channel already, subscribe. I feel like I'm getting a little bit better at this. I'm really excited about the new setup and everything. If I could just stop saying so much, it would be a lot better. If you have any other suggestions for me, hit me up in the comments. I'm always open for suggestions. I really just want to make this better. I'm really just having fun with it, man, you know? I just want to do something that I enjoy. I hate my job. I hate a lot of things currently in my life, and I'm making some changes, and this is one of them, you know? I don't care if 2 people watch this every week. I'm just doing something that makes me happy, something that I enjoy doing. And if you enjoy listening to it, I really appreciate it. Thanks again. Have a good one, guys.
Trucks office won't park bumping. The Lil stay booming. The specs stay jumping. Take a look at my fitted, and if you read the front, it say Kansas City. I hold it down